In this video, we explore Kant's critical philosophy, including his revolutionary concepts of the categorical imperative and the distinction between phenomena and noumena. Discover why Kant is considered a foundational figure in philosophy and how his ideas continue to influence contemporary discussions on morality, knowledge, and human understanding. Whether you're a philosophy student, a curious learner, or simply looking to expand your intellectual horizons, this video is a must-watch. Join us as we unpack the life, works, and enduring legacy of Immanuel Kant, the philosopher you need to know about. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insightful philosophical content.
Immanuel Kant's Critique of Pure Reason is one of the most difficult but rewarding books in philosophy. Published in 1781, it changed the way we think about knowledge, reality, and human reason. Kant's insights go far beyond the academic world. They challenge how we view science, morality, religion, and even our own minds. But how can you benefit from this monumental work today? In this video, we'll explore 5 key lessons from Kant's Critique of Pure Reason and how they apply to our understanding of the world.
Lesson 1: The limits of human knowledge. Kant's first major lesson is one of humility, understanding the limits of human knowledge. Kant argues that human beings can only know the world as it appears to us through our senses and cognition, not as it actually is. He introduces the distinction between phenomena and noumena. Phenomena are things as they appear to us, how we experience objects, events, and ideas. Noumena are things in themselves, the reality that exists independently of human perception, which we can never fully access. This means that all knowledge we acquire is filtered through our human faculties, our senses and our mind's structure, and thus limited. We can't step outside our own cognitive framework to know the world as it truly is. Consider how this impacts science. Even the most advanced technology and the sharpest minds still work within the limits of human perception and cognition. No matter how much we discover, Kant reminds us that there will always be aspects of reality that remain hidden. Lesson 2: The mind actively structures experience. The second lesson is that the human mind plays an active role in structuring experience. Before Kant, many philosophers, like the empiricists, believed that the mind was a passive receiver of information. We gain knowledge simply by absorbing sensory data from the world. But Kant flips this idea on its head. He argues that the mind actively organizes sensory information using innate structures, what he calls categories. These categories include concepts like causality, substance, and unity, and they shape how we perceive the world. For example, we experience events as happening in a cause and effect sequence because our minds are structured to interpret them that way. Space and time are not features of the external world but are forms of intuition, the lenses through which we experience reality. This lesson has profound implications. It means that we aren't just discovering the world as it is, we are co-constructing reality through the ways our minds process information. Every experience you have is already shaped by mental frameworks you might not even be aware of. Think about this the next time you experience something. You're not simply perceiving what's out there, your mind is filtering and organizing it according to its own internal rules. Reality, as we know it, is shaped by our minds. Lesson 3: Synthetic a priori knowledge. Kant introduces a third, more technical lesson that is revolutionary for philosophy, his idea of synthetic a priori knowledge. Before Kant, philosophers believed there were 2 main types of knowledge. A priori knowledge, knowledge that is independent of experience, like mathematics or logic. A posteriori knowledge, knowledge gained from experience, like the observations of the natural world. Kant argued that some knowledge is both synthetic, it adds new information, unlike analytic knowledge, which is tautological, and a priori, independent of experience. This concept, known as synthetic a priori knowledge, applies to things like space, time, and causality. For example, take the statement, every event has a cause. This isn't something we learn from experience, it's a condition for how we understand experience. You can't observe causality without first having the mental framework that presupposes it. Kant argues that certain principles, like the idea of causality or the nature of space and time, are necessary for making sense of the world, but they are not drawn from the world itself. This insight reshaped both science and philosophy. In scientific inquiry, we assume causality, space, and time without needing to prove them through experience. Kant's synthetic a priori knowledge reveals that these assumptions are hardwired into our reasoning processes. They are preconditions for how we understand reality, rather than features of reality itself. Lesson 4: The importance of self-criticism and critical thinking. Kant's fourth lesson is about self-criticism and critical thinking. In Critique of Pure Reason, Kant argues for a Copernican revolution in philosophy, a shift from focusing on the external world to focusing on the human mind and its role in shaping knowledge. This requires us to critically examine the ways we think and to recognize that human reason has limits. This call for critical thinking goes beyond philosophy, it applies to everyday life. Kant teaches us to question not only what we know, but how we know it. For example, when we encounter complex problems whether in science, politics, or personal life, we shouldn't just accept surface-level answers. We need to ask how our own perceptions, biases, and reasoning processes are shaping the way we interpret the situation. Kant reminds us that before we can understand the world, we must understand our own minds and the frameworks through which we think. This lesson is especially important in today's world, where information is abundant, but critical engagement with that information is often lacking. We need to develop the habit of questioning assumptions, analyzing the conditions of our knowledge, and recognizing the limits of our understanding. Lesson 5: The dangers of metaphysical speculation. The fifth lesson from Kant is a warning: beware of metaphysical speculation. Kant was deeply skeptical of traditional metaphysics, the branch of philosophy that attempts to answer questions about the ultimate nature of reality, like the existence of God, the immortality of the soul, or the origin of the universe. These, Kant argued, are noumenal questions, and as we've seen, the noumenal world is beyond the reach of human reason. Kant doesn't claim that these questions are meaningless or irrelevant. Instead, he argues that pure reason alone cannot answer them. Traditional metaphysicians often made claims about things that go beyond the limits of possible experience. Kant saw this as problematic because reason without experience leads to contradictions and errors. For instance, he famously critiqued attempts to prove the existence of God through reason alone, showing how these arguments inevitably fall into circular reasoning or paradox. The lesson here is not to reject metaphysical thinking altogether, but to acknowledge the boundaries of human reason. We should be cautious when making claims about things we cannot possibly know, and recognize when we're overstepping the limits of what can be understood. This doesn't mean we can't engage in spiritual or metaphysical thought, but Kant encourages a more grounded, critical approach. We can embrace questions about the ultimate nature of existence, but we must remain aware that some questions may always be beyond our grasp. Lesson 6: The role of reason in moral life. Although Critique of Pure Reason focuses on epistemology, it sets the stage for Kant's later works on ethics, especially in his groundwork of the metaphysics of morals. Here's an additional, but related lesson: reason plays a central role in moral life. Kant argues that just as reason shapes how we experience the world, it also shapes our understanding of morality. His famous concept of the categorical imperative states that moral actions must be universalizable, that is, we should only act according to principles that we would be willing to see become universal laws. This idea ties back to the lessons of Critique of Pure Reason, because it emphasizes the role of reason in guiding human behavior. For Kant, Morality is not based on emotions or outcomes but on the rational application of universal principles. In this sense, reason is not just a tool for understanding the world, it's the foundation for living an ethical life. By understanding how reason operates within us, both in terms of knowledge and ethics, we gain a deeper insight into what it means to be human.
Kant's critique of pure reason offers timeless lessons about the limits of knowledge, the active role of the mind in shaping experience, and the importance of critical thinking. He challenges us to recognize the boundaries of human reason while also acknowledging the ways in which reason helps us navigate the world. Whether you're a philosopher or someone curious about the deeper questions of life, Kant's work remains a powerful guide for understanding the complexities of knowledge, reality, and morality. By reflecting on these lessons, we can engage with the world more thoughtfully, critically, and humbly. If you enjoyed this exploration of Kant's philosophy, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more on critical thinking and philosophical insights.